Welcome to Bliss.
Hello fellow gamers and welcome to Bliss. I recently made a video talking about battle passes and seasonal models, and during that video I said nobody plays Gambit. But I lied. I play Gambit. I would go so far as to call myself a Gambit enjoyer, and I'd honestly say it's my favorite mode in Destiny 2 between it, Strikes, and the Crucible. I consider dungeons, raids, and the main story stuff to be in a separate category altogether. But between Gambit and Crucible, I'd pick Gambit any day, unless it's Iron Banner. You could say I kinda suck at PvP in Destiny, so a mode centered around a race to see which team can summon and beat the boss first is pretty cool. Yeah, it has PvP, but it's only a part of the whole experience. So today I'd like to discuss Gambit, breaking down how it works, and why I like it so much. So without further ado, let's talk some Gambit. Gambit was released as an additional game mode for Destiny 2 on September 1st, 2018. It was added 3 days before the launch of Forsaken. I assume to try and draw players in who had previously left the game due to lack of content. Now, Gambit is a PvP-VE mode, focused around 2 teams of 4, spawning in separate instances, both tasked with killing various enemy types to spawn a boss, and then beat said boss before the other team can beat theirs. The enemy types consist of Fallen, Scorn, Hive, Vex, and Cabal, with a random chance of which ones will spawn for the match.
Alright, Mavericks. Ready to see what you're fighting today? Fallen!
Hell no, man. What the fuck?
Whenever you kill an enemy, they will drop a certain amount of motes, depending on what type of enemy you kill. You can collect between 1 and 15 motes, and you deposit them into your bank. Once the motes are deposited on your side, an enemy will spawn outside the other team's bank. What enemy spawns for the other team depends on however many motes you put in. 5 to 9 motes spawns a small blocker, 10 to 14 spawns a medium blocker, and 15 spawns a large blocker. When a blocker spawns, it halts the other team from putting motes in their bank, and it slowly drains said motes from the bank until it's dealt with. All of this sets up a gameplay loop of finding a group of enemies and killing them for motes, then depositing said motes into your bank. So when you get 100 deposited total between your whole team, a boss will spawn. The goal is to see which team can kill their boss first during the boss fight, and it will have invincibility phrases where you cannot damage it, and instead you'll have to find other enemies around the map called envoys. Once the envoys are dead, that boss will be able to be damaged again. But the main twist of Gambit is that at certain points during the match, a portal will open near both teams' banks, and this portal will allow one person to invade the other team and start killing said team to halt progress. When the enemy team has a boss active, if an invader kills members of that team, it will cause that boss to regenerate health. I'd say all of this works hand in hand pretty well. It's fun and competitive, while also having a nice level of replay value to the experience, and the matches can get really intense if the invaders on both teams are really good. It can keep a match going anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes. Another reason why I like Gambit is it's nice if the people on your team aren't all turbo sweats who play trials nonstop. Since it only requires one person to be good at invading, the rest can just hide out when an invader's present and work together to pick them off while focusing on killing ads. I think that's why I like it so much. Like I said, it can be intense, but it's not going to be anywhere near as intense as if you're playing regular PvP. It's the perfect blend of PvP-VE that can also be super addicting as well, and it's an easy way to farm commendations or levels. This also makes it a double-edged sword, because I think that's why a lot of people write Gambit off to begin with, because I feel like a lot of people either don't like PvP, or they only like PvP, so a mix of both means a lot less people are going to be interested. I would say Gambit reminds me a lot of Grief from Black Ops 2. Grief was very similar from what I remember, being that it was PvE and was centered around 2 teams, but the goal was to be the last team standing by out-surviving the zombies. Now, we all hear memes of nobody plays Gambit, but do you ever wonder why? I think it's because Bungie basically abandoned this game mode. I mean, Gambit has had a total of 6 maps in its lifetime. That's far less than Crucible's 33. And of those 6 maps, only 4 are currently playable. Those being Deep 6, Emerald Coast, Legion's Folly, and New Arcadia. The 2 that aren't available anymore are the Cathedral of Scars and Kel's Grave, since they're a part of the vaulted content. So I'd say it's pretty hard to stay invested in a mode that doesn't get any new content. Seeing the same 4 maps over and over, along with lackluster rewards and the lack of updates, tends to drive people away. Like, new maps alone would drastically help this mode's player retention, I guarantee you. I mean, it also sucks because Gambit really does scratch an itch that none of the other modes in Destiny 2 scratch. I genuinely don't understand why Bungie hasn't updated it more or added some new maps at least. Because Gambit really could be as successful as Crucible or anything else. I mean, they could even have some Iron Banner type spin-off mode that only comes around during certain points each year. I mean, it could be something cool, like instead of 4v4, they make it 8v8, and they allow 4 invaders instead of 1. Or maybe it could have a boss spawn at like 50 motes, and then another spawn at 100. Like, there's a lot of possibilities for Gambit if Bungie would only give it a chance, or if the community would kind of be like, hey Bungie, we like this mode, we want you to do more with it. But then again, I don't know, because it seems like the majority of the community really doesn't give a shit about Gambit. It's only like a small minority that actually care. But mark my words, one day, Bungie will see the true potential of Gambit, and we will actually get some new maps, and maybe even a...
Yeah. Like that's ever gonna happen. What a load.
Thanks for watching.